All right, time for your fan weather forecast. 80 degrees, sunny skies outside. Had a high of 81 today. Clear skies for the rest of the night and a low of 59. Fan forecast brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again as we broadcast live from 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. It's all powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up for a game, Potawatomi Sportsbook is right there with you for all international games and matches. The Midwest's best sportsbook opens early. Place your bets, kick back, and enjoy the show on an absolutely enormous video wall, 2,000 square feet. Then grab a cold one along with food from a menu packed with flavor. Not up for watching the game, but still want in on the action? You can wager on any sport, anytime at quick service kiosks at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Bet above the rest at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Ty Windisch, your Step Podcast, talks some Bucks basketball. Their first preseason game is Monday night already. Monday night. Now, again, we're being honest. We're going to be talking a lot of Brewers on Monday. I can guarantee you that. Coming off of the game on Saturday, getting ready for the next game.
They're a little Bucks in. We got to get a little Bucks in, right?
Yeah, we'll get a little Bucks in. But as far as like a full-on interview going into their first game, probably not happening. It's probably going to be a lot of Brewers on Monday. But we'll probably talk a little bit of Bucks too, sure. Ty Windisch joins us coming up at 4:20. Things that we missed coming up at 4:40. Now time to do what we do every day at this time.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
All right, so obviously it's Packers bye week right now. So we're not going to have a ton of stuff necessarily to go off of there. Tom Silverstein wrote a great piece in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel today talking about Micah Parsons, Jeff Hafley, and Hafley needing to be more creative in using Micah Parsons, right? Start taking some of these tricks out of the bag going up against Cincinnati. I love Tom, but I don't need tricks to beat Cincinnati. You better not need tricks to beat Cincinnati. Then again, I didn't think Dallas would score 40 on this defense, so I guess we'll wait and see.
And you didn't think you needed tricks for Cleveland or,
Didn't need tricks for Cleveland. Had Cleveland pinned down. It was a dominant defensive effort by that Packers team. That's not why they lost that game. They didn't lose the game because of their defense in week 2. They didn't lose the game. They won both 1 and 2 because of their defense. 3, that was not on their defense. That was not their fault. That was on special teams and Love with that bad throw. And then week 4 absolutely was on the defense. But in weeks 1, 2, and 3, yes, you had Micah Parsons, but you had Devontae Wyatt too. And when Devontae Wyatt went out in this Packer game, as you know and I know, things radically changed at that point. And I can get down with trying to figure out the Micah Parsons equation to make him even more dominant. I get it. But he was like the best pass rusher in football going into that week 4 game. He's done his job. My thing is, how are you going to substitute and fix the issue, the hole with Devontae Wyatt? And we've talked about this. look, you can go small. You can go Brooks. You can go Wooden. You can go some of these cats, or you can go big and you can go Nazir Stackhouse and have him be in there. Inexperienced at all, but that's that big wide body. And Charlie and I talked about this yesterday. My question is this. Devontae Wyatt's status is week to week. If you don't know what that means, let me translate. That means it's going to be games before he's back. That's what that means. Because they could say day to day, that's a bye week, and have a chance to play against Cincinnati if they were like, it's day to day, it's not too bad. You go week by week, to me, that says 2 or 3 games probably. I'm not a doctor, but I would guess 2 games. That's how much you'll miss. Plus, he has a bye week, so that's 3 weeks. Maybe you have a chance at coming back that 3rd game after the bye week. What concerns do you have over the defensive creative capabilities without Devontae Wyatt? What concerns do you have over the defense's creative capabilities without Wyatt? Nicolay Lawfan talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. So while I understand Tom Silverstein's piece as far as getting Micah Parsons more involved, I think this is not the time to do that. I think right now, your main concern has to be, how do I stop the run if Wyatt's not going to be in there? How do I make this to where people aren't going to want to just run the football 30 times against us in a football game because they're averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry without Devontae Wyatt in there? Now, a couple of different things. Do run blitzes become more of a thing on those early downs where you're banking on they're going to try and run the football on those downs? Now, again, you have all the advanced scouting, you have all the analytics, all the numbers of tendencies of teams when they like to run the football versus when they don't like to run the football, situations, all of this stuff. You have 4 games of stats to work with so far. You're going to have 5 by the time this Bengals game is done before you play them. So that's a lot of information to take in. Now, having said that, the other part that you could take from Micah Parsons and that piece with Tom Silverstein is, and I don't know if it helps or hurts, so that's why I got the offensive lineman Charlie Houston here to ask him. If I take Micah Parsons, I line him up in between or over one of the 2 defensive tackles. Does that help to clog up the middle enough to slow down the run? And if I do that, am I still going to be okay on the outside if they decide to go where he vacated that space at the line of scrimmage? I think that, to me, is the biggest question, because it sounds like a good idea to put him over the middle and essentially have 5 down linemen, 3 of them in the middle, to make up for Devontae Wyatt, and then force him outside and hope the speed that you have with McDuffie and Walker and Adrian Cooper are enough to make up for him moving inside.
Schematically, yes, I think that works. I think putting him over the top of a defensive tackle does muck up the middle a little bit.
But coming.
But
I told you.
I think that with a Micah Parsons, putting him in the middle, putting him into those big clumps of players, kind of takes away from his value a little bit. You're using him just as basically a clogger in that spot. And yes, he's taking up 2 guys, but he's also not giving you any other help on that defensive front. And then 2, it also very much increases the opportunity for him to get hurt by bigger players falling on him in the middle of the offensive line with a defensive tackle. It really just kind of messes with his ability to stay healthy when everybody is struggling to stay healthy in that kind of interior of that group, and it is bigger guys going up against him. You don't want him to be ineffective just by him being on the field, and you also don't want him to be ineffective by him not being on the field. I think the best way to keep him effective is by putting him on the edge where he belongs.
Okay, I got another one for you.
Okay.
I got all kind of creative ideas. What if they took Van Ness, said, okay, you're going to be the 4th down lineman. Micah, you're going to play whatever linebacker position for Isaiah McDuffie. We're going to play you at linebacker kind of going forward, and you're going to have the ability to roam or cover a tight end or whatever the case may be. And then, again, he's still fast. We've seen him close and cover on guys, right? So if a running back gets outside, he can still close and he's not going to have anybody blocking him right away in that first wave. That then gives you the opportunity to pick up Van Ness and let him stand up, rove down to the middle, and let him get some pressure and movement up the middle as well. What say you about that idea, Charlie Houston?
I like that a lot better. I think when you look at a Lucas Van Ness and the expectations that we put on him before the season and what he was showing us before the season, that was all before Micah got here. And I think that's when he looked his best, or the reports were that he looked his best, was when he was able to kind of focus on himself and not have to worry about what Micah is doing first, which is what I think a lot of these front seven guys are doing right now. They're waiting for Micah to make a move, and they react off of that. And I think that when you move Micah back into that linebacker group, you then all of a sudden move away from the issues you've been having with guys with missed tackles like Jaron Cooper and Quay Walker and McDuffie, all these guys that should be more sure tacklers, I think do become more sure tacklers when they're beside a Micah Parsons who can make plays all across the field. Yeah. And then again, it allows him to make plays in the open field and not be mucked up in the middle and possibility of getting injured in the middle like that too. It allows him to be more on the outside on his own, where I think he has the better chance of staying healthy.
Question is the same to you all. Maybe you all have ideas as well. What concerns do you have over the defensive creative capabilities without Devontae Wyatt out there, concerning that he is week to week right now? It's the Green and Gold Update powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Watch us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, follow, all that fun stuff. Got shorts, got videos, got live streaming of the shows. Check all that out. Got the Dugout chat there that you can chat there on YouTube as well. I think the other part of this, and this is maybe a little bit more riskier of a play than the other two that I said. But the other part of this might simply be on early downs, Evan Williams is walking down into the box. And you're going to use him as a fourth linebacker, essentially, and ask Xavier McKinney to play center field. So Evan Williams walks down on 1st and 10. Evan Williams walks down on 2nd and 5, or whatever the case may be, walks down into the box. So now you're playing with 4 down linemen, and you're using Evan Williams, Charlie, as that other hybrid linebacker, and putting the weight of the world on Xavier McKinney to try and keep everything in front of him.
I like it, kind of, because
it's a bigger gamble.
You're putting Evan Williams kind of into that kind of Kyle Hamilton style role that the Baltimore Ravens use him in. And I think that if you have enough faith in the guys around you and the guys around Evan Williams to make plays when he is down in the box and playing down there, then I think it can make for a really strong defensive look. The problem is the Ravens right now, their defense doesn't look very good. And another team that did that, the Jets with Jamal Adams, again, it started out really good until it wasn't. Teams figured it out.
That's absolutely right. Get some more of your calls. Phones are ringing, so Charlie will get to answering those. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Don't forget Ty Windisch, Eurostep podcast is going to be coming up. Looking forward to talking to him about the Milwaukee Bucks first preseason game coming up on Monday night already. And then things that we missed on today's show at 4:40. We'll do our best to keep you updated on what's going on in the Cubs-Padres games. Cleveland and Detroit right now. Detroit just extended their lead from 2-1 to 4-1 in this one. So something to pay attention to there. Again, that Tigers team pretty much imploded in September and in the second half. And it looks like now they have an opportunity to win this series still at the end of the day. Let's go to Johnny, North Side. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Johnny?
What's going on? Beautiful day. I hope you're all enjoying your day, your afternoon. Beautiful day outside.
Will do indeed. What's up, Johnny?
This Packers situation, I'm afraid it may be exactly what I thought it was going to be once we lost Jair, and it's that our cornerbacks are suspect. I thought that was going to be a glaring hole. I never truly believed in it.
Yep.
The first couple games, I said, "Oh, okay, well, and Goody we trust, we good." I think that might be where the pendulum swings more likely than not. I think that's the big problem. We couldn't they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop us. That was just ridiculous, man. I think the cornerbacks are is not enough attention being paid the lack of playmaking. What are interceptions at? Like we got one maybe? I think we got one this year.
One turnover this year. One, yes.
And that was an asterisk because it didn't count.
Yep.
So I think that our cornerback situation is a lot more dire. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one who feel like this. And but what I'm seeing is it's a lot. It may be a lot more dire than what we're leading off to be. Because it seems like the defense is going to live and die by Micah Parsons.
They've got one interception and one fumble recovery so far this year.
That's ridiculous. And it seems like if Micah Parsons doesn't do it, which he can though, this is the good thing. We got a player like that. He can do it. But if it doesn't come from there, then the rest of everybody else is a domino effect. With him getting doubled and things like that, Rashawn Gary, Lucas, they absolutely have to do something. You have to. This man is facing double teams with a chip, and
Yep.
Somebody has to do something.
That's
and what
correct.
I'm saying was nothing was happening. But that we couldn't get the stop. You can get a stop, but we can't get the stop. We needed to stop at one point and say, hey, we get them to kick a field goal. We know we're going to go down and kick a field goal. We couldn't get the stop. 3rd and 7, first down. We couldn't get the stop. And they were hitting us with passes and rushes.
Yep.
And it was just like an octopus of negativity for the Packers. So yeah, I think that cornerback position probably got to be shored up somewhere somehow.
And it's interesting, Johnny. Thanks for the call. He's worried about the cornerback position. I'm looking at the wide thing as more of a stopping the run issue than I am worried about the cornerback position of not getting to the quarterback. Because Rashawn Gary's either going to win his matchup or not, regardless if Devontae Wyatt's out there or not, right? Van Ness is going to win his matchup regardless if Devontae Wyatt is out there. Those guys still have to do their jobs as far as getting to the quarterback. My issue is you don't have an able body that can stop the run and make the rest of that line look as good as it does without Devontae Wyatt. That's why we're talking about the run.
But I think that's also fair from Johnny's point of view. If you are worried about the run up front with that front seven, you're worried that guys will get past that level, then you do need to worry about the cornerbacks and the defensive backs, because that is the next level that's going to have to make tackles there.
That is true. I mean, I haven't talked to this dude in a minute. CB, North Side, you're next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. What's up, CB?
What's going on, man? You hit it dead on for us with Van Ness. Yeah, he got to step his game up. He would probably fit right in the middle and do what he needs to do. But I have to agree with that caller, man. The corners, Valentine getting chewed up like that.
It was awful.
Yep. Yeah, but they don't shore it up and try to get a free agent or something, Sante Samuel or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad for them.
Yep, I agree with you on that. CB, you've been good, man?
Yeah, I've been good, man. Just been sitting back watching the games and whatnot and trying to, analyze and stuff. And, man, that defense and special teams, man, I don't know. They need to do something.
I think they'll be all right. Don't be a stranger, CB. There you go, CB North Side, joining us on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line. Up next, Ty Windisch, Eurostep Podcast, will join us on YouTube. So make sure to stay tuned for that. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan studios. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. Padres Cubs scoreless, top of 2 right now. In a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorchin' hot. Or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. Joining us now, you can watch him on YouTube as well. Search The Fan Milwaukee on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is the one and the only Ty Windisch of the Eurostep podcast. Looks like he just combed his hair. Beard is all nice and trimmed up. Looking good, Ty Windisch.
You know, season's around the corner, preseason next week. People are tuning in again, Sparky. I have to look presentable. So,
yeah.
No, excited to join you. And now here, millions on the Fan. So I had to bring my A game for you.
Crazy, man. I remember talking to you like, I don't know, man. I gotta figure this out. We gotta figure out a way to get this damn thing back up and going again, and having those conversations. And here we are, 6A to 6P every day again. So a pretty cool deal. Okay, so I want to get your thoughts on the Bucks. First game coming up already on Monday night, it looks like. So let's start here first. I want to start with a random person that the Bucks got in the offseason that I saw yesterday on social media, a conversation going on. Well, Amir Coffey's on this team no matter what. Like, I don't want to hear anything else. He's going to be on this team no matter what. And then the conversation switched to, okay, well, if he's on this team, then who's not going to be on this team that we're expecting to be on this team? What say you, Ty Windisch?
Well, I think it's interesting. I'm not in the camp that he's on the team no matter what. I know he basically reiterated a couple times, like had really good conversations with Doc, and that's why I signed here. And people are reading that to mean, you know, he's got a spot. I think he's got a shot for a spot. I really do believe it's an open contest for probably the last about 4 spots. I think there's a few different players that could be gone. I think the one everyone has circled is Chris Livingston, because the Bucks have already cut him once this summer and then re-signed him after another good summer league to a guaranteed deal, which was a head scratcher at the time. And if they cut him again, will be another head scratcher. I think the other young guy, I guess, on the chopping block, well, Andre Jackson Jr., of course, right? They pushed back his guarantee date. So not even really counting him. I think it's almost assumed he's less likely to be around at this point because of that action. But also Tyler Smith, last year's second-round pick. You'd hate to cut bait with a player you took in the top 40 just over a year after. But, I mean, the spots are tight, and that's a player who I don't think really has a pathway to play when you look at the way the Bucks have built this team. The 3 most entrenched, longest signed, most paid players, we'll put Damian Lillard aside, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Miles Turner. I think Tyler Smith is more of a front court player. I don't think there's much opportunity there for him. So I think those young guys, Amir Coffey, are kind of all in competition for 2 spots. I don't think all 4 of them, we know all 4 of them won't be on the real roster when we get to opening night.
So let me see if I got this right. Andre Jackson's in danger of being cut, draft pick. Chris Livingston, that dude, in case you all forgot, his agent was telling everybody in the second round not to draft Chris Livingston because they had a deal with Milwaukee, last pick of the draft, but regardless, still a deal with Milwaukee. So he could have went anywhere else possibly, and they chose to force his way to Milwaukee. So that dude's in danger of being cut. So those are 2 draft picks. AJ Johnson, you traded him. And Tyler Smith, now he's in danger of being cut. As I've said before, and I will say again, it is not fair to John Horst to rip him necessarily for his draft picks. It's not like he gets lottery picks every single year. He trades away draft picks without hesitation because it has to be about now, not the future. However, the same John Horst also has reiterated the last couple of years and wanted to get younger and faster with this Bucks basketball team. And his way to do that was seemingly through the draft. And now all of that is in danger of going up in flames.
Yeah, I think they've been a much better second draft team than they have a draft team, right? Ryan Rollins, not a Bucks draft pick, but a development hit. Technically, they didn't draft AJ Green, but they did bring him in. Certainly a development hit there. And then some of the younger veterans, I'd say they've targeted, who we all knew Gary Trent Jr. could play, but bringing him in on a minimum and then another near minimum, good players have come and taken those spots. And I think you're right in criticizing, hey, if we end up cutting 2 more guys that the Bucks use some of their few draft picks on. That is certainly not going to help anyone saying the team is any good at drafting and developing. They really haven't been for a long time, but I think they're better at developing than they are drafting. And I still think it's a pretty good team. Obviously, you'd like to hit on some draft picks at some point. It would help things along quite a bit. But to your other point, they don't use very many, especially very many good ones. So that also makes it difficult. They will have one this year for whatever that, or no, sorry, next year. Never mind. They won't have one this year. Not a first.
Don't worry about it. I'm not too worried about ever, doing a draft show again for the foreseeable future. Back when they sucked, it was like Christmas for us. Like, all right, the draft's here. Let's go. I remember the Jabari pick partner draft.
Man.
I was in the hospital, sicker than a dog. And still got my way to the draft for the pick and then went back home and died at that point. But I was on it for a few minutes, at least when they made the Jabari Parker pick, because that was Christmas for Bucks fans for so long. And
yeah.
Thank God that hasn't been the case. It's going to be the case once Giannis is done at some point, but so far so good. We don't have to worry about that. Tell me about Miles Turner, Ty Windisch. How do they use Miles Turner? Exactly like they did Brook Lopez? Or do you think it'll be a little bit different with Miles Turner?
I think it'll be, I don't want to say significantly different. They're not going to totally throw out everything they did with Brook Lopez. And obviously, a lot of the appeal of Miles Turner is some of the similarities, right? A true big rim protector who can block shots in the paint, has led the league in blocks a couple of seasons, and also space and shoot the three. Those players are quite rare in the league, players who can credibly do both of those things at a high level. And the Bucks went from one to the other, and 2 of the best of those guys we have right now. It's kind of one of the things we've heard a lot, our podcast is, why haven't they developed a stretch 5 to replace Brook Lopez? Well, unless you're drafting Victor Wembanyama, there's not a lot of those guys coming into the league that are good at both things. It's really hard. So the spacing on offense is going to be important. The rim protection on defense is going to be important. I think where we'll see differences defensively, and they've talked about this a little bit as camp has started, Turner can move more, right? This seems obvious, but there's a play that sticks out to me from the finals where he goes out and contests a Chet Holmgren 3 and then sticks with him on the whole drive and then blocks him at the rim. He basically blocks him at the arc and at the rim. No disrespect to Bucks legend Brook Lopez. He just couldn't do that, right? Especially by now age 37, 38. It was just the paint. So they can bring Turner out to the perimeter more, play different coverages. Maybe you're not switching 1 through 5 all the time. This isn't Draymond Green, but you're hedging. You're doing different things to attack screens, which allows your other perimeter defenders to be more aggressive. Like the Bucks went smaller a little bit in the playoffs. Gary Trent Jr. ends up leading the playoffs in steals per game. I think you're going to see more of those gambles because you have some more athletic bigs who can recover and do different things and move around the floor more to give you options. And then offensively, sorry, go ahead.
Talking with Ty Windisch, Euro Step Podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch, T-I Windisch. Go ahead, continue on. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Just offensively, again, just being more mobile is going to help. He's been more of a screener than Lopez, and I think he'll be able to pick and pop a little bit more, which Brook took a lot of threes, but also setting off-ball screens. And they've talked a lot about how he's going to help them play faster. Not that he's going to bring the ball down the court or anything, but he makes really quick hit-ahead passes, and he just gets down the floor faster. And I know the Bucks really want to move in transition more, and they think he will help them do that, as well as, a bunch of other younger players than in years past.
Okay, so explain to me, like I'm 5, how these guards are going to play for this Bucks team if Giannis is bringing up the ball and initiating offense like Doc Rivers keeps talking about. By the way, God bless Doc for taking credit for something Jason Kidd came up with and acting like he invented it this offseason. That's amazing too. But go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, well, it had been a while since we haven't had an all-star point guard here, so I get where Doc maybe wasn't grinding 2016 Bucks tape like we were. It's going to be a room full of combo guards, basically, right? So to the 5-year-old, I would say, the nominal point guard who the Bucks, or nominal is not a good word to use starting to talk to a 5-year-old. I clearly need to work on how I talk to 5-year-olds. The player who they start at the point guard is not really going to be the point guard, but he's going to do some point guard things. He's going to be like a baby point guard, like a junior point guard. And that's not to denigrate or to speak ill of Kevin Porter Jr., who it seems like is going to start there to start the year, although we'll see. But even Doc recently has said, like, I don't look at them as point guards. I look at them all as guards. And we don't have a point guard centric scheme right now, which means Giannis probably brings the ball up, not all of the time, but a lot of the time. Giannis is initiating actions. So a guard will come up and screen for him and then pop out to the arc and be there ready to shoot a three. Or Turner will, and then roll to the rim, and defenses have to make a call there. But the guards will be there to do something when it's their time. So Giannis is off the court, Giannis is tired, or even just through the flow of a game, Giannis kicks out to maybe the corner after the defense bends a little bit toward Giannis. Okay, now Kevin Porter Jr. gets to play essentially point guard on easy mode, right? That the floor isn't really ready for him. They're more focused on a different guy. Now he can go create or run a ball screen or just try to get to the rim. So I think it's not going to be like Giannis brings it up like Chris Paul and orchestrates actions all over. But I do think there's going to be just more give and take. And it sounds like they want to be faster into things as well. So I think we're going to see some of these young legs, maybe even bringing the ball up with Giannis or running with him and trying to get into things quicker than the last 2 years, which has kind of been Dame and Giannis get set up. There's 15 on the shot clock. Let's run something, which as a fan of exciting basketball to watch, I can't wait to see.
I realize this is going to sound like a hot take that I'm about to say. I really don't believe it's a hot take. I believe it's the truth. I think this Bucks team is going to be good. I think this Bucks team maybe could be good enough to win a championship. But in order for that to happen, Kyle Kuzma has to take a major step forward. I know that sounds crazy, but of what they have, him and Kevin Porter Jr. are probably the only two guys that have an opportunity to really be a true number 3 scorer on this team. And Porter Jr., I think, is super talented, and maybe I still don't trust him. He still seems a little all over the place. Kuzma, again, also super talented, but has never really put it together. And if he puts it together and can be that stretch guy that can switch out and defend a bunch of different guys, be that guy can get up and run and create in the open space, that changes everything for this Bucks team. But if he can't shoot worth a damn, I don't see how you ever get over the hump in the playoffs. It really, in my mind, comes down to how good Kyle Kuzma is this year. That might be scary to some like me, but I think that's where we're at right now, Ty.
There was a perturbing practice video shared by Eric Name of The Athletic, I think today. We're just looking around the whole post-practice, and in the back right court, he blames it on a wet spot. You can see in the video he has a wet spot wipe, but the midi was not looking great for Kyle Kuzma in that video. So I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I will say there's another option, and I do think it is a huge opportunity. It's an opportunity for everyone on the team, I'd say, besides the front court, which I think is pretty locked in, as I talked about. But all the perimeter players, I think it's a massive opportunity for someone who's unproven or unheralded to step up and either write or rewrite the story of their career, because clearly the infrastructure here is pretty strong. There's just a lot of question marks, and how those questions get answered is going to be everything, of course. But someone like Kuzma, who apparently worked on shooting and understands he needs to be more of a shooter this year and get to the rim, and they don't want him taking mid-rangers, Doc Rivers said. If he can do those things at a high level and defend at a high level, to your point, the Bucks will be really good, and it will change the perception of him as a player. If he can't do those things and the Bucks can't win with him, and it looks like last playoffs, then I would imagine that there's going to be more activity around the trade deadline with another, big salary piece going out, and the Bucks being advantageous to try and bring in someone who can. As we know, they don't sit on their hands. So I do think it's kind of a trial period here in the start of the season to see, is this going to work, or do we have to make a move? Because you look at the salaries, and it's kind of just him and Bobby Portis on the tradable ones. Bobby just re-signed. Everyone loves Bob right now. I think Kuzma is the most obvious guy who would go out at the deadline if things weren't going well.
What kind of flexibility do they have at the deadline to make a move right now?
They've got future picks. I think 1 pick and 1 swap right now. On draft day 26, they'd have 2 firsts they could send or agree to send. So everyone wants to wait until then. But again, as Giannis continues to say, I want to win. I was thinking about things.
Don't bring him up. No, don't bring him up with me about this, because you're just going to make me very mad. I'm going to start yelling and screaming again. I did that yesterday. Okay. I've been yelling about this whole Giannis fiasco all summer. Charlie, if you could see Charlie shaking his head right now, he would agree. He's sick of me yelling about Giannis as well. I've had my fill of everything involving that conversation.
Me too.
I'm done with it. Okay, so I got one more for you, Ty Windisch of the Eurostep podcast. Again, every download your favorite podcasts, watch them on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Eurostep podcast, amazing Bucks coverage. Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch. That's T-I Windisch. Where are they in the East in your mind right now as we sit today? I'm not going to have you make a prediction for where they are at the end of the year, but right now in the East, how many teams, what teams are in front of them?
I think they're about fourth. The way I've been breaking it down is I don't think you can really debate that Cleveland or New York are better because they just had stronger years, and I don't think either of those teams got worse in any real sense. Now Cleveland's got some injuries, and you could question the New York new coach and everything, but those are good, strong, deep teams. So I would put them ahead. And then I think one of the Pistons, Hawks, Magic will probably be better than them. I don't even know which one. I don't know if it matters which one. I have the Bucks in that tier with those three, and I think they're going to shake out with the current roster, the Bucks, to be around the second best of those teams. Personally, I like what the Hawks have done and what the Magic have done more than Detroit, which I think didn't take a step forward. And I really have questions about outside of Cade Cunningham. Is there enough there? But Cade Cunningham is sure ascending, and they have a lot of young players they drafted. Atlanta has a lot of good players, kind of the Trae Young question that's always there. And then Orlando, everyone loves Orlando. Paolo Banchero should be a superstar, hasn't been. Him and Franz Wagner have not been able to hit threes. They make the big Desmond Bane trade to hopefully fix their shooting. I just need to see it. My theory on them is I think Contavious Caldwell Pope, who went there to be the shooter, couldn't do it. I think it's hard when you're the only shooter and you're supposed to provide all the spacing. I think that's a hard job, and we'll see how Desmond Bane does. He's certainly a better player than Caldwell Pope, but I'm just not sure he's just going to fix everything for them. But they certainly have a lot of talent, and I think those teams have a little more at the top and are a little deeper than Milwaukee as it stands right now. But nobody else has a Giannis, which is a huge advantage.
Charlie, using big believer of Orlando last year. I was not a big believer of Orlando, and I'm still not a believer of Orlando. I love the Desmond Bane trade. I said when they made it, I thought that was a great deal for them. We'll see how it all goes. But like you said, those other two guys have got to come forward. And if they don't come forward, it's probably the same result. Ty, not only do you have Eurostep podcast talking Bucks, you also have other podcasts with other people involved talking other things. Talk about them.
Yeah, got to shout out our guys. Talk of the Tundra. Newmark and Jordan just had Dusty Everly on, who is all over the place. Dusty's great. And
one of my
they
favorites.
Did a great deep Packers dive on Talk of the Tundra, also on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. So appreciate the opportunity and would love if everyone goes and checks that out. Let's get a bounce back here I know you're just talking Packers. I don't like these last 2 weeks. I need a big win after the bye week. I've got to tell you.
It better be a big win against Browning and the Bengals. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Ty Windisch, thank you so much, man. Always fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it as well.
Take care. There he is, Ty Windisch, Eurostep podcast on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Hey, up for a game? Potawatomi Sportsbook is right there with you for all international games and matches. The Midwest's best sportsbook opens early. Place your bets, kick back, and enjoy the show on an absolutely enormous video wall. 2,000 square feet. It's ginormous. You can see 30 events at one time on there. Then grab a cold one along with food from a menu packed with flavor. I mean, you're talking about all day brunch, burgers, wraps, wings, the John Kuhn platter, homemade pastries, and desserts at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen. Not up for watching the game, but still want in on the action? You can wager on any sport, anytime at any of their quick service kiosks throughout the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Bet above the rest at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up next, things we missed on today's show. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios. See Sparky Fifer here. Charlie using other side of the glass. Some interesting things happening right now over there in Wrigley in Chicago. So Yu Darvish started this game for the Padres, and we had said that, hey, man, the key here is you got to get to Darvish early because he has not been as good this year. You know, you have one game where he pitches 6 and 1 run, and then he'll have 4 where he gives up like 4 in 5 or 6 innings. So that was the thing. Charlie said before the game started, he said, man, they got to get to him early. Got to get like 3 or 4 runs early in this game, and then Charlie would feel better about it. Well, Charlie, what happened?
They did not get 4 runs right away, but they did get 1 run after Yu Darvish loaded up the bases to start off the second inning with no outs after Pete Crow Armstrong had an RBI single. After that, the bases were still loaded, and the Padres decided, all right, that's time for Yu Darvish. Get him out of there. He only pitched 1 inning in this game. Jeremiah Estrada came into this game right afterwards and immediately walked the first batter, which was Dansby Swanson, to drive in another run there.
And they're still loaded.
Yeah, they're still loaded. 1 out. Matt Shaw struck out because he was swinging for the fences. Yeah.
I said earlier, 5-3 was my prediction. Cubs win. What did you say? 6-2?
6-2.
6-2, something like that. I mean, this could be a really high-scoring game. It all depends on what Tyon does. Tyon's looked fine the first 2 innings for the Cubs. But now, again, with your starter out, your bullpen has been used the last 2 days. So now you're on day 3 in a row using this Padres bullpen. This is not, let me repeat, this is not what the Padres wanted to have happen in game 3 of this series. So maybe Brewers Cubs coming up on Saturday. We'll keep you updated on that. Coming up 5 to 6 playoff preview show here on The Fan with Tommy Wirtz, Andrew Wagner of Forbes Sports. Jack Stern of Brewer Fanatic will be joining them coming up today as well from 5 until 6. So this is night 3 of our playoff preview show from 5 to 6. Normally it's a fan post-game show, but we replace that with programming that gets you ready for the first game for Milwaukee coming up on Saturday. So again, Jack Stern, Andrew Wagner, Tommy Wirtz, all coming up from 5 to 6 here on The Fan. Of course, can stream that as well on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff as well. All right, so things that we missed. Let's go back to a couple of text messages we missed on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line. This one came in while we were talking to Ty Windisch, and I was saying, hey, man, Kyle Kuzma is a guy that has to step up, has to take that next step if this team's going to win a championship. Well, Justin messaged in and said Kuz will have no pressure on him being traded for GOAT in the 414 like K-Mid is tough. KPJ will be an all-star, and I think we're good enough to win it all. No pressure on him being traded for a GOAT in the 414 like K-Mid is tough. I'm confused.
Yes.
He's saying there's no pressure on him because he was traded for Middleton?
Yeah, basically. I don't agree with that at all.
What's your take on Kuzma?
I think Kyle Kuzma is a guy that very easily has to prove himself this season. He's somebody that in his rookie year came in with the Lakers and proved that he was much better than the draft position that he was picked at, and that he could come out here and be given this opportunity the next year to be an important part of that starting 5. And he didn't really do anything. So they trade him to Washington, where he is given this opportunity to be one of the top 2 players on that roster the entire time he's with that team. And he proceeds to not do anything with that either. With the Milwaukee Bucks here, now he's being put back into that situation he was with in LA, kind of taking that step back, and he has to take a step forward for him to still be a part of this team and for any team to give him a shot really moving forward. This is kind of last chance scenario for Kyle Kuzma, and to say that he has no pressure on him just because Chris Middleton was the guy he was traded for is kind of crazy. I think that puts more pressure on him, actually.
Again, in fairness to what Justin said, if KBJ is an all-star, then you're right. Then there's no pressure on Kuzma. If Kevin Porter Jr. goes out and has some career year, then you're right. Then nobody's caring about Kyle Kuzma because KPJ ends up being that third piece. But I think we all agree there has to be another scorer with Giannis. In my opinion, Miles Turner can't be the second best scorer on this team at center. Like, that cannot be. One of these guard or forwards have got to throw up 20 a night, somewhere in that area to take to make this all truly work. This is the first time in Giannis's career where he hasn't really had a true Robin. Now, Miles Turner could try and sell you that he's Robin. I ain't buying it. I want a true guy that's going to go out and get me 20 a night, create his own shot, and score. I don't want to be relying on Miles Turner jacking up threes and praying to the heavens that they fall.
But we also saw with both the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers that maybe it's not about being a Batman and Robin anymore. Maybe it's about having a Justice League around you and having a Batman who's that leader and putting all these other smaller pieces around you, having a couple 12-point per game scores, like 3 to 4 12-point per game scores, all being consistent and doing their jobs well, can get the job done.
You are smooth.
What can I say?
That was good. I like that. That was a good one. Nate in North Milwaukee, talking about an earlier topic. We were talking about William Contreras, who penned a letter to Brewers fans at the Players Journal. Google it if you've never been to the website. It's the lead one. It is awesome. But we talked about that and talking about him wanting to be in Milwaukee for the rest of his career. He's got a couple years left. Peralta has 1 year left, and then he's off into free agency. And the question that we had was, what will it mean for Freddie and Williams' future here? Based on what they do in the postseason. So, like, if Contreras has a great postseason, does that mean maybe they sign him and he stays? If Peralta has a great postseason, do they give up more money and get him signed going forward? Nate North Milwaukee says it doesn't mean anything. They're both gone. Only thing that we don't know is if in a trade or in free agency. I learned a long time ago, we are a big market minor league team. We develop players for the big markets. That's why this year is so big. To which I say, you're right. Absolutely right. Yes. That's exactly what this team is. And that's exactly what this organization is. He'll keep one. He kept Braun. Then he decided to keep Yelich. They committed hardly no money to Churio. They got him for a steal. Hopefully they can do the same thing for Made and lock both those guys up, for the next 8 to 10 years at no money. Because again, the one thing you don't see in baseball is you don't see holdouts in baseball like you do in other sports when they want to renegotiate their deal and I'm not coming unless you give me a new contract. Very popular in the NFL. But you don't see that in baseball. So from that perspective, you feel good if you can get Made signed, Churio signed, and then we're looking at the Yelich deal. Yelich has like 3 years left here, and then there's a mutual option. Once that $24 million comes off the books for him, now you can reinvest that in somebody else.
Yeah, I think with this team, this Milwaukee Brewers squad, they can take one of two paths. Either take the Braves path after they win a World Series and start paying guys and start making sure you keep that unit around, or you take the Nationals path and say, you know what, we won a World Series. Let's just move on and get young players.
No doubt about it. Prize Picks, baby. Sign up today, Packer fans, this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sparky to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Don't forget, you can now stack players, which means you can take the same player like Jordan Love and say passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns and put them all together with another player from another team, and you are all set on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Up next, playoff preview show